Okay, hello everyone. It's Alisha Brasher here, Cosmic Gateway. I am joined by the one and only Donovan. Thank you for coming back on. It's been a while since we've done this. This feels kind of fun. So welcome and thank you. Now I guess I want to start with this as never say never. So the reason that Donovan and I have joined up and teamed up to create this content to bring it out to you is because I've had several requests for people wanting information and material about all the things that I said I would never talk about and bring to Cosmic Gateway. So, obviously there's a lot of stuff happening in the world in this year of 2020, and um, there's a lot going on in the spiritual community with the Ascension, and obviously you'll know all of that if you follow Cosmic Gateway. That's primarily where I keep my focus. But there's another side. There's a flip side that actually comes beautifully together, and that is the disclosure, the truth-seeking community, the conspiracy theories, whatever you want to title it, but let's put all the names out there so people can follow where we're at. And I guess the requests that have come through to me is that a lot of people don't know that part about me and how I do keep an eye on that type of world. I just don't. It's not my work. It's never been. There's amazing people out there who do that work, and that is their purpose. That is their mission. And then people said to me, how would I start to find out about and learn about this? There's so much information. Can you create like a beginner's guide or introductory guide? And I was like, I've been pointing people in different directions, and obviously, we're connected on social media and I follow you, and I saw that you're putting out so much red pill dosage, on for lack of a better word. And so when I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, I could just dial in Donovan and we could actually have a really cool conversation. So I guess the stars have aligned, the universe has pulled us together once more to talk about this. And I guess the intention I think this will be kind of episodes, is to really bridge the gap, or bridge the spiritual ascension that most of us follow and in tune with, and then look at the disclosure and truth seeking and all those other elements, and bridge those worlds together, because they really do coexist. That you can't have one without the other. It is a part of the whole of this grand awakening and ascension that's happening on the planet very rapidly, may I say, in this year. So just this may not be for you, and that's okay. But it's for those people who perhaps new to maybe being in the spiritual world and community for many years, but the disclosure stuff is new, and want to understand how, or at least from our perspective, how it intermingles and intimates and connects and comes together. So Donovan, I think we're just going to start off and talk a little bit about our own journeys into disclosure and how our red pill process happened. And I think that's going to be a really good setting the scene. So I'll hand it over to you. Do you want to share, how did you come about all this sort of stuff along your journey?
Yeah. So thank you for having me. Just like it's been coming on really strongly recently. And as you know, for us to be bringing people in now at this stage where it's sped up, it's just happening so rapidly, like literally hourly and daily, things that we knew were coming because we've followed it for so long. It's like, yeah, we're right in the eye of the storm of it now. It's like really, so for anyone that's fairly new, it's a really interesting point to come in at this point, because it's kind of like, kind of like turning up to a party late. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like knocking on the door and everyone's already having a good time and they've been there for like 2 hours, and then you're coming in going like, oh, I haven't even warmed up yet. You know what I mean? Like, so I imagine it could be pretty overwhelming. But the point being, and you and I were talking about, you know, what's the intention behind wanting to do this? And I've had it coming so strong to me recently, how a spiritual awakening and ascension and disclosure, they really go parallel, because there are elements to both. And I think the key word you said was truth seeking, right? And when you think about spiritual seeking, as we do, when we choose to, as souls, to go on that spiritual path, and then we hit that point where we have a spiritual awakening, right? Something culminates in our life. And usually for most people, I have to say, life puts you on your ass so hard until you just go, oh my God, what do you want from me, right? Or, oh my God, I give up. Show me, tell me, what am I here for? What's my mission? What's the meaning of all this, you know? And I find, you know, we always talk about Ascension's got that shadowy element to it. And it's like, to fully awaken, we need to go through the shadow work, and it's a healing journey, as we know, right? So, and with disclosure, it's such a similar thing, because when you start truth seeking on a spiritual level within yourself, the way that you activate that awakening paradigm for yourself in your life is you start to ask questions, right? And it's like Esther says, ask and it is given, right? It's when you start asking the really deep, big questions about the meaning of life and how the universe works, and, you know, reincarnation and soul journey and evolution, and, you know, what am I here in this lifetime to do? Where have I come from? Where am I going to be? Where are we going? It just goes hand in hand, because we're watching the planet go through the exact same journey. Gaia herself literally going through her own spiritual awakening, which is, we understand that she's us, we're her, and it's all interconnected. So it just stands to reason. And what I find interesting too is that when if you're going to talk disclosure, and you said it in your intro, if you're going to talk disclosure, it doesn't matter who you are or whatever, it's always going to be controversial, right?
I think, to be honest, I think that's probably the main reason I've steered away from
Exactly.
that, because it is highly controversial.
100%. But just like, hey, just like if you're someone, and I know many people will resonate with this, if you're someone that has a spiritual awakening, and you start soaking in all this knowledge about, oh my God, like my frame of reality, I can sort of, you know, mold and meld my reality by my own consciousness, by the way I use my emotions and understand them, and the way I now see reality so differently. And you're in a family and it's not happening for anyone else. You get a lot of kickback. People go, oh my God, that person's gone weird. Oh my God, they've gone woo-woo. Oh my God, like they're just getting all like, getting into areas that scare me because I don't understand it, you know? It's also the same with disclosure. You get a lot of kickback, because it also says that you're starting to look at things from a different frame of reference, right? And that is why we call it the red pill. And this is why so many in the disclosure community use the Matrix movie as the ultimate example of what disclosure is about. It's like, you know, if you take the red pill, you will go down the rabbit hole. And once you go down the rabbit hole, once you see, you can't unsee.
Yes.
Because you've become aware of the Matrix. But when you're in the Matrix and you're stuck in the Matrix, Neo doesn't know he's stuck in the Matrix, right? Until he gets that broader perspective, which is just like spiritual ascension. When you get a sense that I'm connected to everything, you know, I live under universal laws, and every thought, every word, every action I take and do and think affects everything forever, because I'm not just a body, I'm a soul, I'm consciousness, I'm infinite consciousness, I'm all that, right? it takes a huge shift in your frame of reference to how you see yourself. And then once you get a broader perspective, you just start seeing how it's all working together in synergy that creates reality, like what you experience as reality, right? So it's why people in the disclosure community say The Matrix was not a movie, it was a documentary. Because it really is a massive teaching about the nature of reality and how we choose to see it. Key point being how we choose to see it, right? So as I said, if you're stuck in it, if you haven't got a broader perspective, you don't know you're in it. So you can only see and experience what you can see from your frame of reference until you broaden that lens, and then you see so much more. So I think without going on about that too much more is like, that's why I've been feeling that, like, to me, ascension and disclosure activates and triggers the same issues that come up within people for healing or to face truths, to face themselves, what they're carrying within them, to break down old belief structures. Because when you get red pilled in disclosure, you literally start going, holy shift, the way I saw the world is not really what's really going on. There's a lot going on that I wasn't seeing, but as we're now learning in disclosure and the way that that structure has worked, this particular structure that we've all lived under for thousands of years now, it's all hidden in plain sight. It's right in front of you. And it's an ancient, you know, I know the American Indian culture always, like, when they came and they, you know, wanted to take control of their culture and things were really going bad for them, one of the things they decided to do was we don't want to lose our beliefs, we don't want to lose our sense of our spirituality, and we want to be able to pass that on to each generation. What are we going to do? They hid it in plain sight. So this
beautiful analogy.
Yeah, it's very, and it's so intelligent to do that, right? It's like, it's so amazing when you wake up to seeing something that's been in front of you the whole time, and then you suddenly go, oh my God, I just couldn't see it before. I had to shift my lens and broaden my perspective, and then bang, once you see, it just starts showing more and showing more and showing more, and it all links up together. So what I'm saying about disclosure is, and back to the family, like, so you have an ascension, spiritual awakening, you start awakening to breaking down old belief structures, and you start living from a different reality. Your family go, okay, you're weird, you're woo-woo, we're not getting you, you know, what's all this angel, multi-dimensional stuff, ascended masters, meditation, activating your third eye, what is all this stuff? And they get scared because they don't understand it, right? And then when you get red pilled in disclosure and you start talking about, oh, well, there's this cabal and they've been controlling humanity forever, and there's this central banking system and it controls everything, and there's a bunch of people sitting behind that central banking system that's been basically affected every level of life for the planet since for generations now, and we think we've got freedom, but really we don't, because they're pulling all the strings. And then people start hearing you talk this way. And what's the usual thing people do when they go into fear? And this is the key word in disclosure. Everyone who's been that's gone down the rabbit hole, we get told we are conspiracy theorists, which is another term for you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
And one of the most important things for people to understand, and I always say this, is like, truth that they don't want to come out, and therefore the easiest, best way. Oh, is my internet still going? Yeah,
we're back. It did glitch for a second, but to be expected.
The cabal fairies are playing with us. No, I'm kidding. But so the CIA creates this term so that anyone that actually starts to speak truth, the majority around them just go, oh, you're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist, right? And that was one of their best, most powerful ways to make sure that anyone speaking truth could be shut down.
Yeah.
And that helped protect this entire structure of humanity, which is we are the product of our frame of reference of reality, and whatever information we've been fed, it actually indoctrinates and shapes how we see the world. And when you start to open up and realize that actually there's a lot that's going on that's not your fault, and your belief systems and structures about the world that you believe it to be true, and then you find out a lot of these things are not true, and that you've actually been lied to pretty much your whole life, and even your parents and your grandparents, then what actually happens is, if you start to bring that truth, you're putting yourself in a very difficult position, just like opening up to spirituality, where you're opening up to standing forward against the majority. And that is always and never an easy thing, and is always scary. And this is why even now, with the huge movement on the planet that has opened up and been red-pilled to a lot of the truth, we're still the minority, right? But it is growing at a bigger rate than ever. Just like souls having spiritual awakenings, it's expanding every day. People are waking up and going, oh my God, I'm getting synchronicities, I'm getting messages, I'm getting numbers, I've had dreams, I've had meditations, and I'm being guided by some bigger force.
Yeah, larger than myself, right?
Larger than myself. There's something in this. I have to look into it. Bang, same process, you know. And then the shadow work with the Ascension is like when you start talking about disclosure and people go, oh my God, you're so skeptical. That's just the way the world is, and you just have to accept it. And you're going, no, question it. You have to question it, right? So again, questioning spiritual insights come through asking questions, and opening up in disclosure is like the reason disclosure is expanding so rapidly is because people are finally going, well, why does the world work that way? Who is funding that? Who is paying for that? Why are there so many people living in poverty and suffering? Why haven't we all got enough, right? So then you get sent down the rabbit hole. And when you get sent down the rabbit hole, like for me, I started, right? So I had my awakening 2009. I'm reading Dr. Wayne Dyer books, and I'm opening up to meditation, spirituality. I'm getting all the messages, synchronicity starting to work. And through the questioning process, it just naturally takes you to start to question everything. And in an spiritual ascension process, you break down the old self. You break down your egoic structure. And as you break down your egoic structure and start to question everything, it's only natural that you start to question the world you live in and the way that it's been. So that's essentially how I got led to all the disclosure information, was because when you start to look into healing and you know, cellular structure and DNA, and why are we all living in such density, how did it get this way? It just naturally leads you to start asking questions about, well, you know, how did we get this way? And then the number one thing, and this will be the first step for anyone coming into disclosure, right? It's always the first step that I watch when someone's getting their red pill to broaden their perspective on the world reality we live in. Follow the money.
Yeah.
It is just that simple. Mm-hmm. If you want to understand what's really the structure we've all been living under and how difficult it's become, just follow the money trail all the way to the top. And then it will just broaden your perspective, because there is no level of life that this structure of people that have created a world that's been so difficult for us to live in, it's all connected to funding, money, and what they've chosen to do with that money, right? And it's like in an ascension journey, what we start to do, you know, our monetary value is we follow the heart. We start to live from the heart. So that's our wallet, so to speak, in spiritual ascension. That's where our money is, you know. That's where the good juju is, right?
Right here.
It's like living from the heart. And then, you know, just like in disclosure, we follow the money trail and it unlocks all what's really been going on behind the scenes. And then once you open up to that, you suddenly realize, okay, money links to organizations. Organizations is run by a particular group of people. Those people have some agendas, right? And some beliefs. And then they work with these other people who are called the mainstream media, right? They control the narrative. The narrative is what I have been fed my whole life through a box called a TV, right? Or
Your
movie,
programming, your
yeah,
TV programming,
right?
daily
Through
dose.
movies, through Hollywood, through the news, right? And then through your spiritual awakening, you start to feel the vibrational toxicity of the vibration coming out of that box, and you start going, okay, something feels off. My heart and head are not in coherence. It's really starting to bug me. But then you ask questions. You go, why does it bug me so much? That the vibrational noise coming out of this box. And when you start to question it, you start to realize everything's vibrational, and you start to go, hang on, because you're starting to open up your intuition, you're opening your energy field, you're starting to feel, you know, more empathic, at a higher empathic state. You're starting to feel what feels right and true and good to you and what feels off.
Yeah.
So you naturally are getting a sense of becoming to develop discernment about truth. So you can see that actually, you know, that they both are so parallel in the aspects of what you experience when you open up to questioning the world and disclosure, and the exact same kind of triggers and processes you go through and experiences you go through with your ascension journey. Yeah.
Thank you for painting that picture so beautifully, because it really is quite, you know, the journey is quite similar. It's just through a different pathway, but it gives people exactly what they need. And you know, correct me if, you know, this was a thought that I always sort of held, was I always thought that disclosure was a pathway to ascension for some people. It's like, you know, you can go through, and when I say that, I mean, like, because it brings up so much anger and shadow work, and like, you know, you see it when people drop that pill and all of a sudden their eyes wide open, and it brings up so much anger and injustice when they feel the resonance of truth, of being lied to, or, you know, all these horrific things that keep humanity suppressed.
Yeah.
And then they have an opportunity to transcend that within themselves. So then, you know, it's going to look different for it, but they do, you know, interlock. And I think the only thing that I thought it can be dangerous, but the dangerous in any other way, is when you stay stuck in that anger. You know, it has to be a catalyst to move beyond that, to do something positive with it. You know, and that can mean a billion and one different things depending on the individual. But what was your very first piece of the pie, piece of the pill? Do you remember, like?
Yes, I do. The movie Thrive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while since I've watched that.
Right. So naturally, through connecting on Facebook and wanting to suck in spiritual knowledge, right, you're coming across stuff on YouTube and Facebook or whatever, and met a few people, and they're like, oh my God, you got to watch this movie, Thrive. So Thrive is a movie that gives an overview of the follow the money,
Okay.
right? And it shows all the levels of life that it's affected, like the food industry, pharmaceutical companies, governments, global organizations, chemical companies. And then they get into health, and they talk about the health of the planet and the environment. And so like that was my first taking of the red pill.
Mhm.
After I watched that movie, and just like in my spiritual journey, right, when you
Oh, okay.
following that money trail and you start putting pieces together, you can't help it. You're just like overwhelming. You're overwhelmed with this sense that, oh my God, everyone needs to know this, right? Because
Sorry, I love, because
you do, and then you go along this journey where you're like, oh my God, okay, I have to learn that not everyone's at a different stage. I have to learn to respect that. You don't want to become the pain in the ass at the party where all you talk about is Trump and disclosure, right? And because some people are like, yeah, sorry, dude, it's too intense. I don't want it. I can't deal with it. And kind of you're freaking me out or you're exhausting me, you know, and that's part of my journey. On my spiritual journey, you know, when I got so overwhelmed with spiritual knowledge, I was just like, people kind of, I'll admit, they got sick of me because it's like, fuck, you never talk about anything else. All you ever talk about is spirituality. And because you know how it feels when you open up to that, it's like it's all encompassing, you know.
yes,
So
I think that's highly relatable, and I think that is a part of the journey, because you find and discover all this stuff, and it's like everyone should know, and you want to scream it from the rooftops, you know. So.
100%. And then you start to move deeper into the teachings that you've been going through, and you realize, like, when you look at the spiritual masters of the planet, and you really start to understand, you actually realize that true mastery is about discernment, when to speak, when to be quiet, when to move, when to hold back, you know, when to take action, when to be still. And when you start to balance, and it's all about balancing, and you and I were talking about this the other day, 2020, right? That number 2, amplified twice. It's double balance on all levels of life. And I kind of just thinking about ascension and disclosure. There's a 20 there and a 20 there, right? 2020 vision. Like Jesus said, I am in this world, but I am not of this world, right? And the reason that I don't have fear stepping forward and I've become fearless about sharing disclosure is because I've done work within myself where I realize I am all those aspects, and to just be off in the stars and off, you know, in my multi-dimensionality state all of the time is not balance. I had to learn that. And it's like, yeah, you really do need one foot in the world and one foot out of the world, and integration of both, all aspects of the soul, to get that perfect balance. Just like we talk about balancing divine masculine, divine feminine. So this 2020 ramping up of the spiritual aspects and the disclosure aspects is that balancing up that's happening, right? And I could piss a lot of people off in the spiritual community when I say, you know, I've sort of gone through a transformation with this whole, no, just you create your reality, you know, everything comes from your thoughts. Everything's just love and light, love and light, love and light. And I had a really big discerning lesson with that, where I went, actually, it is that, but it's also, again, balancing dark and light. We can ignore what's happening in the world. And this is where you get your family and people that don't understand your spirituality. They'll turn around and they go, I'm sorry, that's all great and all, love and light. Yep, love ya, love and light. Yep, that's lovely. But there's some shit going on over here and people are suffering. And then you sit there and you're like, no, just don't worry, it's all love and light. And they're going, all right, now this is why you piss me off as a spiritual person, because there's a lack of balance. There's a lack of integrating what's in our reality here now. And like a true spiritual master would be aware of absolutely everything equally. And it's how we respond to that.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, it's like, I believe there are souls, it's their job to sit in a monastery and meditate for the good of the vibration of the planet. Yeah. That's their mission. That's their sole purpose this lifetime. But that's not everyone's purpose, right? And if we are in the West and we are born in families in modern day Australia, modern day US, modern day UK, right? We've been put here for a reason. And, you know, how we respond to that reality, you know, I really believe we are born into the exact position on the planet we need to be, with all those dynamics that suit that country and how that lifestyle and culture works, because we are the vessels to transmute what needs to be transmuted in that cultural setting,
Yes.
as opposed to being born in a Thai monastery with the Buddhist monks, like, or the Celestine monks in Europe, right? We're put exactly where we're meant to be. So it is really that balancing up of both. And I feel like I might be getting off the track a little bit, but yeah. Does that like spark anything for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it really is. It's integrating equilibrium, masculine, feminine, dark and light. It is. It does. I don't know. I mean, my connection and journey with disclosure has been one of many decades. I think it was through a David Icke book, or I'm pretty sure it was David Icke that sort of came in. I didn't read it myself, but God bless my dad. Like, if he watches this, love you, Dad. He has been a truth seeker for as long as I've been alive, and I think, I kind of laugh about the fact that I think he got devoured into more of that world as I was coming into this world in preparation to be my teacher, and it, it was through, my dad hates injustice at every level. And for him, that was sort of a real pathway that I don't know which came first, the spiritual aspect but for him, I know that he's come into this planet because he does not want to see humanity be, suppressed any longer.
Yep.
He's in the first wave, in the Dolores Cannon, 3-wave. And I honestly, when I think about people in the generation of my dad who came in after the Second World War, which is interesting, and we can go into this in another series, the interesting parallels between the end of the Second World War and where we're at now. There's a lot of correlation. But in essence, I was introduced to all of this stuff in a very like abrupt, like there it all is, not just tiny little bits. And watched this documentary that was very confronting, that showed the money trails, and it showed everything about, the entertainment industry, and right down to, all those gates that we're not going to discuss on YouTube. And
Fences.
fences, yes. I wasn't called that back then, but talking about those topics. And I think I was a teenager at the time. I was about 15 or 16. And then I would go to high school, try and tell my high school friends.
Oh, God bless you.
So, I mean, I've had my foot in that world, or understanding it, because I truly believe, as a seeker, full stop, whether it's a truth seeker or a spiritual seeker, it is in the knowledge of all, isn't it? It's not just one aspect. And when you are a true seeker, you want to understand the ins and outs and the mechanics of all different things. And I think that's why it's so beautiful to have these discussions and to bring it into light and talk about it, and not create a trigger fest, because I don't believe it has to be. I mean, obviously that is a process that we need to go through for our own evolution, but trying to make it digestible and in bite-sized pellets for people, and we can slowly introduce things. But I think we're going to try and keep it to a certain period of time. So I think for now, I think we'll wrap up, because I think that's a beautiful introductory, and then over the coming, episodes, let's
dive a little deeper.
we can just and of course, like, if this is new to you, or you have questions, or you're one of those people who would like to know more about certain things, I do believe, and that's why I invited you to come on and do this. You have a very in-depth knowledge into all the different facets and the mechanics of it, and it will be shocking to a lot of people. I'm having a big come out. I do too. I do keep a keen eye in that world, and I know there's times for me to pull back when I feel like it's pulling on my energy too much, but I do like to be in knowledge because I think it all goes hand in hand, you know, the ascension and the truth coming to light. So, and also I think what I would really like to talk about too is like the bright side of disclosure and what that's going to mean for humanity.
Oh my God. Oh
Like,
my
you know,
God. It's so exciting. And this is the thing that you're going to find as we start to dive deeper. People will get a sense of this from me. And I've been saying this since just before that thing hit the world recently.
the crown.
the crown chakra thingy that no one will mention. Um, um, I was getting more and more and more and more excited. And the reason being, because I'd been studying this stuff
Yeah.
along with my spirituality, been following this stuff since before the Q drops in 2017, like right since Thrive was put out. It's like, it's happening. It's finally really happening. And it's all about what you said, justice.
Yeah.
And the planet cleaning up injustices, you know. And as you know, and I love what you said earlier, and I think that's probably the culminating message of this first one is, some people, disclosure leads to a more spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And then other people, the awakening leads to disclosure. So you can come from either direction. But what I find interesting, exactly what you said, like this, they kind of weave in and around each other, and eventually you get to a place where you're like, they're one in the same. They're both aspects of what is happening on a spiritual and physical aspect of you, me, the planet, all of us in consciousness. It is actually perfectly imbalanced to be able to integrate and deal with both. And I love how you said that even though there's the triggering process, it's also, even someone who doesn't want to open up to the real spiritual side of things, just the mere fact that they're questioning reality on the disclosure side of things starts to open up emotions with them about, no, this is an injustice. This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening, you know, and they want to everyone wants to have their power back. They, you know, the power of the people.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you don't choose that spiritual path, just as a good, ethical, moral person, you're like, I just think life could be better than this. And so what I was going to say is that's why I've been getting so excited, because there is so much good coming from this.
Yeah.
And some of the things that are going to come out is just going to be mind-blowingly amazing. And I think there's equally good things about the unfolding of the plan as there are things that need to be cleaned up. It's a literal cleansing, you know. So anyway, so yeah, I think that's a pretty good intro to where we go. Like,
I think that's beautiful. So thank you, Donovan. Thank you for connecting. Obviously, if you want to follow Donovan, I will put all the details in the description box below. And love to have your thoughts and comments and shares and likes and all that. And if there is something specific that we can dive into, please put that in, and we'll absolutely cover that. So
actually, we can be guided. It'd be awesome to be guided by what questions come forward. You know,
I would love.
We could be two talking heads for 8 hours, no problem, right?
Right.
But it's really like, what I love to do with any co-creations like this is like, what do the people want? What do you need? Like, you want us to address it or ponder on it and come back to you, or, you know, I'm happy to research stuff. But yeah, I love to be guided by the questions, because it's like, where are you at with this? How are you feeling about what's happening in the world? You know, and how those two aspects balance up for you. Yeah, awesome. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Donovan. And would you recommend that Thrive would be something that people can look up as a starting point if this is new to them and they want to follow the money trail and broaden their perspective around these topics?
100%. So there's been a few films that have come since.
Yeah.
But I certainly, the least difficult one to watch was Thrive. That's like a really nice introduction.
Yeah. Perfect.
Quite gentle on you. And then you've got movies like Food Inc., which is talking about the food industry. All right, that was another one that came out around the same time. And then there's a bunch of ones that go along, and then for those that are fully ready, I'm just going to say it, but those that are like really at the point where they're like, right, that's it. Bring it raw, bring it. I want the freaking truth. Out of Shadows is where you're going to end up.
Yep.
You're going to watch a documentary recently released called Out of Shadows, and that's going to bring you very close to what's happening right now on the planet. So
and Full Cabal as well.
And Full Cabal, that the series of the lady in the Netherlands. I think she's got. Last I looked, she had 10 episodes. She might have added a few. So
I've sent. It's funny, since I think that came out in the beginning of the year or end of last year. I'm not sure, but when people have come to me, I have red pilled quite a few people this year just by directing them to that, because I knew that was where they were heading, and that's the information that they were seeking. And I'm like, I can't put it in better terms. Go and watch this. And they come back and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, right. And it is. It's like a boom, slap, punch to the third eye. It's like, whoa, shit.
And I always give them, like, I'm always a bit cautious. I'm like, it's full on. Like, you will need, and I've also had clients come to me this year that had watched it because someone else had recommended, and they came to me and they're like, I need someone to talk to about this.
Exactly. And that's where the light workers and healers on the planet are hand in hand because as people do go through that shocking, oh my God, whoa, I never realized this was happening. They need healing, and they may need some help with that. And that's why we are so important with astrologers, numerologists, energy healers like yourself, Reiki healers. That's why that's exploding. And that, you see how it's just so beautifully interlocked. One needs the other, and the other causes the other one to be needed. And it's like, perfect. And then I was just going to say that, if anyone is, full disclosure already, fully red pilled, as we say, it's, they're all just labels, but it's cool. If you've already taken the red pill and you want to stay up to date with what's happening, I pretty much post stuff daily. I follow a guy called Dave who does the X22 report.
Oh, he's great. I love his voice. I could just listen to his voice all day.
Like, hey, this is Dave. This is episode 222A, and let's have a look at the geopolitical report for today. And off he goes. And he's so animated and awesome to listen to. He brings it very balanced, very intelligent. But he's got two reports. He does the financial report, and then he does the political situation report. And disclosure report. So he's amazing. Jordan Sather on YouTube is amazing. He's a bit younger than me, but he's amazing for what he knows. Disclosure is his calling. It's his life. And then there's a few others like David Wilcock, and David Wilcock actually is disclosure and ascension at the same time.
I like how he blends.
Bringing all that. So anyway, that's the first little library that we can put forward. And if anyone wants to know more, they can contact you or me. And
absolutely. And let's start this dialogue. And also Jace from Cosmic Origins as well. I love, he puts a really beautiful high vibe spin on. I really actually enjoy watching his reports that's there. So I guess if you do have your favorite sort of thing, you could put them in the comment section below as well, if that's going to help people navigate to find some of this stuff. And we just want to lovingly navigate and support people through this. And as I said, as I started off, never say never, because I always said that Cosmic Gateway was never going to be a platform for anything like this. But I've always felt that part of my work, my own personal journey and work, was to always bridge the gap in various forms. And I guess this is just another bridging the gap and showing how everything's so interconnected. So with that, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Sending much love out to you all, and we'll connect with you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.